My deep appreciation of theater history was instilled in me by Tom Empey, a college mentor to me and hundreds of others. While teaching Greek theater terms, he would grab the fabric of his slacks and say, "You see these pants? Euripides Eumenides," making light of content that could be considered rather dry and stuffy, while still maintaining respect for the art, which is what I want to do with this podcast. For each episode, I invite a guest from the many paths my theater career has taken me down. I give my guests no idea what we'll be talking about, but they know we're going to find an outrageous story about theater history and perhaps get a better understanding about why we're still doing it after all these years. So welcome to Euripides Eumenides, and I am your host, Aaron Odom.
Apocalypse, apocalypse, I said, why you wanna show up now? Just when the heart of my life was getting good. Walk on out of the door, yeah. Get your ass to getting where the getting is good.
Hello, my friends and listeners. This is Aaron Odom from Trident Theater in Sheridan, Wyoming, coming to you with another episode of Euripides Eumenides. Hey, I really appreciate that you've been here all this time, or if you're brand new, I appreciate it anyway. If you really like what you got going on here, I can guarantee you this episode is going to be a super fun one today. I have no idea what's going to come out of it. But if you like that, go ahead and give us a rating wherever you're picking this up. Tell your friends, drop it on your social media. We really appreciate it. Because again, like I said in last episode, we're not going to stop. This is way too much fun. I'm having a ball with this. So speaking of having an absolute awesome time, I have a great guest today. And we literally just met right before this episode, but I have followed this person on TikTok for quite a while. The TikTok has just a little bit over 175,000 followers. This is just an incredibly lively spirit from what I can tell. My friends and listeners, this is Brittany Chafee. Hello, Brittany.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so glad to get you on the program. I mean, you're just as bright and you're just as bright and lucid as you are in your as I can see in your videos. So
I'm kind of here.
So why I have you on here today? You are a New York City resident. Your TikTok, you talk about being a nanny to some children in New York. But there are a couple other reasons that I wanted to have you on here. First of all, I do have to talk about the character Melonhead.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about Melonhead.
Well, when I was learning TikTok and I was going through the effects one day and I found a random watermelon head and I was like, well, let's try this one. And my family loves Listen, Linda. I don't know if you know that audio.
Oh, yeah.
Like, listen, Linda, listen. And so I just did that totally just for fun. And it kind of was like building a little bit of traction, not tons. And then I did the next one and the next one and the next one. And then one of them just kind of blew up. And I was like, all right, I guess this is a thing. And everyone was like, I love your watermelon head. I'm like, thank you. I got a watermelon on my head.
How did you come up with that? My God, nobody would have ever thought of that.
It's amazing. It's crazy.
But it's you doing voiceovers of kids.
Yes.
With very expressive features, and the melon head also like has huge expressive nature, which is so perfect that it's like all these children saying these very. I mean, I use the word adult in the frame of like there's one you have where a kid's talking about how amazing coffee is.
Oh yes. And I mean, true story, I do love coffee. So it's my inner child. The watermelon head is literally my inner child. Like, yes. There's one where I'm like gossiping, like, and then guess who's at the door? Like, that's totally me. I'm a gossiper. Like, not really, but
I love it. I love it. Now, you have one other kind of feature that's on there that has gotten a lot of following. Tell me about the wine glasses.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about that. I was like, what other feature do I have?
What do I do?
The rest is really just me.
Let me just describe this because, we're in an audio format and I'm saying wine glasses. I'm sure people are thinking like it's a glass of wine that I hold in my hand. No, these are straw glasses or glasses that are like a crazy straw that's bent into the shape of glasses, and you plug it into a bottle of wine, and we just get to watch wine go right around your eyes. It's amazing.
It's super fun. It's so silly. And white wine, it's not like, it doesn't give the right effect because my glass is clear. And so the red is like, pew, 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 right? Like it's great. I love it.
If it's bringing that like childlike quality to, no, I'm drinking a lot of wine right now. And not just, like sipping. I'm slurping it out of a straw. That's amazing.
It comes quickly. I'll tell you that. It's not something to, where you can just sip your wine. It's like, whew, a lot of wine at once. I got those from my younger sister. We did like, over the winter break, we did, the thing where you have to open up a whole bunch of gifts with mittens on your hands or socks on your hands.
Oh,
you know that game where like you wrap everything in like a big ginormous bowl?
No, but that's amazing. Keep going.
Yeah, it's fun, but hard. Like you have to roll dice and you get a pair of doubles and you pass it on. Like, and if you open the, I don't know. Anyway, so I got these drinking glasses. She got them from the dollar store, and my sisters and my mom and I, we all have this group text, and I wasn't working at the time. So I was literally just on TikTok all the time. And so it was like 20 TikToks a day, if not an hour, like I'm that person. So she texted me and she was like, really? 60 text messages? How many TikToks? And so I was like, you know what? Let's whip those babies out. So, and I was obviously drinking wine at the time. So got them out, put them on. And I was just like, I'm so sorry for the number of TikToks I send you. Actually, I'm not. Like, and then that just like, I was like, well then, like, and at that time, most of my followers most of them were kids. A lot of them were kids. And then all of a sudden, all the adults came and I was like,
oh man, that's funny. Goes right into our last two episodes about Dionysus. Anyway, Brittany, you do have a little bit of a theater background. You studied performing arts a little bit, but more than anything, now that you're in New York, one reason I wanted to have you on the show is you go to a lot of shows. And yes. I think I was more amazed because I still have my King Kong cup when I went to see King Kong, and you have so many cups.
Okay, yes, yeah. I was like, have you seen that video?
I have seen that video, and that's exactly what I was talking about. I'm like, I have one. How many do you think you have at this point?
Oh, I had counted. And I finally started to get rid of them because, I mean, not that I'm a true hoarder, but at the same time, I'm a little bit of a hoarder. So I was like, spring cleaning during COVID. I was like, I have got to do something. So like, I mean, I had some shows I would have like 15 cups.
For a single show?
For a single show.
Nice.
I mean, a lot. Yeah. When I go to a show, like it's like, well, I have to have enough time to go to the bathroom and buy my drink. Like,
right.
It's just the pre-show ritual. And it's a $5 cup for the most part. So,
yeah.
I'm like, well, why? This is a souvenir. I might have 20 already, but it's a souvenir. And I'm just going to throw away I'm amazed by the amount of people who throw away their Broadway cups. Because there's also, oh my gosh, a lot of people, if you wait for the shows to leave, several people will go walk through the aisles and pick them up and take them home.
Very smart. Very smart.
Yeah.
See, like,
yep.
I mean,
and that's also how you can get your souvenir for everyone else out there. Also how you can get your souvenir without actually paying for a drink at the show. Because of course they're expensive. So there you go.
Yeah. I think I had them make me my classic cocktail, the Moscow Mule. And I was like, this is $17. Okay. Well, great. And then I can't even imagine how many playbills you have stocked up and just how much of like legitimate Broadway history you just have hanging out. That's amazing to me.
I have my older sister, I will say, like it's all her fault because when I first moved here, she bought me the Playbill Binder. Oh. And I had never seen it before.
Well, now you got to fill it, right? Now you got to fill it.
Now I have 8 and it's recommended to only keep 15, but dude, you can keep a lot more than 15 playbills in there. So I probably have they mix. I have maybe 30 to 40 in each one, if not more. And I'm tapped. I need a new Playbill binder. And I'm like, but if it's so perfectly in my bookshelf, I don't know where I'm going to put the nether binder. So,
well, ladies and my listeners, Brittany needs more Playbill binders. I'm sure donations will be accepted.
They aren't cheap. You'd be surprised.
So, Brittany, this is why I had you on here, because you have seen so many shows, and this is going to be kind of an interesting little discussion today, because this isn't going to be me like reading from a script and waiting for reaction. I'm more wanting this to be something of a panel discussion here. I might moderate, but still have some opinions myself. I usually start this with a question, but I'm going to have a lot of questions through the rest of the day here. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Woo! All right, here we go.
It is.
In 1982, a quirky little rock musical premiered off-Broadway to some pretty impressive success, and eventually moved to the Orpheum Theater off-Broadway, where it stayed for 5 years. In 1983, it won several awards, including Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Musical. And if you aren't already a fan of the massively popular horror musical Little Shop of Horrors, I'll give you a bit of a synopsis. And spoilers, I may be telling part of the ending if you haven't seen it. Based on a black and white Roger Corman horror flick and set in the 1950s, the show takes place on Skid Row, one of the poorest sections of New York City at the time. A young man named Seymour works and lives in Mushnick's flower shop with the beautiful city young girl, Audrey. Beautiful young city girl. Yeah. He wishes he could be in a relationship with Audrey, but she's already in what turns out to be a very abusive relationship with the hunky dentist, Oren Scrivello. It just so happens that Seymour has come across a fascinating new plant that could be his ticket to fame and fortune. One catch, it requires human blood to survive. So, in the long run, Seymour's desire to be noticed and eventually loved by Audrey is matched by the plant's speedy growth and desire for human flesh. Seymour ends up killing people to keep his plant alive, but it does lead to fame and fortune and eventually the love of Audrey. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Now, in 1986... the musical was adapted into a major motion picture with the lead role of Seymour being played to iconic status by Rick Moranis of Ghostbusters fame and Steve Martin playing the dentist. The film only helped improve the cult status of the title, right?
Yes, it definitely did.
7 years old, I'm singing it in Wyoming, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing? People get on stage and do this? Wow. While several other productions have been launched since the 1982 premiere, including runs on Broadway and the West End, in 2019, a revival of Little Shop was launched at the West Side Theater in New York City, an off-Broadway establishment. It was directed by Michael Mayer, who we may remember directed Green Day's American Idiot. The cast included Broadway favorite Christian Borle in the role of Oren Scrivello, the sadistic motorcycle-riding dentist and antagonist to the lead character. But stepping into the role of Seymour would be another Broadway favorite at the time, Jonathan Groff. However, very soon, into March 2020, all theatrical activity in New York City ceased due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's horrible.
How are you hanging in
there? It's a sad
there?
day in history. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that production though?
I haven't.
No?
I
Okay.
No. I know.
Okay.
When you said it, I was like, oh no.
Oh man. That's okay. That's okay.
No, I'm so sorry.
No.
I have a lot of opinions though about it though.
Oh, good. Because in March 2020, before the pandemic put everything on hold, it was announced that actor Jeremy Jordan would be playing Seymour. Mm-hmm. And once it was announced that Jordan would be playing Seymour, what was something of a dead issue started smoldering into an all-out grass fire. Hunky Seymour-itis. Yes.
It's going around again. Now that it's about to open, it's going around again. Ooh, the drama of being a hunk, apparently.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have
thought? And here we are. Tweets were flying left and right. And they are again. Op-eds on both sides of the issue started appearing in prominent magazines, all discussing the idea of Seymour being cast with hot dudes. So herein, the discussion point for the day, and we'll be coming back to it several times, can Seymour, who is basically cemented in pop culture as the ultimate nerd, be hot?
I love this topic. I mean, I literally thought you were just going to say the subject of the day is hot dudes. I was like, yes. But
oh, no.
No, it's tragic. But yes, this is great.
So we've talked about the synopsis of the play. Okay, he's something of a character that is easily overlooked in that society. He's just kind of like a wallflower. He kind of blends into the crowd a little bit. But there are times when he might be referred to in the play as unattractive. Mm-hmm. So is he unattractive or just awkward? Go.
Go. Awkward. Well, so the movie.
Rick Moranis.
Yes.
Okay.
Is he unattractive? I'm attracted to a lot of different types.
Well, yeah.
But somewhat nerdy. I mean, what girl, well, there's a lot of girls, but a lot of girls will say that a little bit of nerdiness is never a bad thing. I mean,
right.
I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. He's attractive. He's cute, you know, especially at that age in his life. He's definitely not unattractive.
Right.
Like scrawny. Yeah. Like, would he be typically the hunky dude? When I think of hunky dude, I think of like tons of muscles and like
right.
polo and like what's up? You know, that's kind of what I think of hunky dude. That's why it's like, is Jonathan Groff hunky? You know, again, it kind of all goes to opinion. Can he play awkward? Yeah. I thought he was awkward in the TV show that he was recently in. Gosh, what was it? Well, the true crime one. Mindhunter. It was Mindhunter. I thought he was a little awkward in that role. But that's just me personally. Okay. Yeah, in that role. I don't think he's always awkward, of course. But a lot of people loved him and thought he was absolutely perfect in that role. So I'm like, okay. Sure. I mean, he's kind of got the scrawniness going for him. But totally nerdy? I don't really know.
But somebody like Jonathan Groff has a great face, you know, like he's traditionally a very attractive face, pretty symmetrical, good bone structure, nice jawline. Yes. Right. That was Seymour.
He played it well from what I've heard and what I've seen trailer wise and everything. Like he played it well, but I also heard that he's not nerdy enough.
Yeah. Okay. So here's an interesting thought. Now, I mean, we have to understand that Broadway theater artists are practically athletes. I mean, they have to keep themselves in amazing condition. I've been to Broadway once. I saw 4 shows, and I surprised Brittany today by wearing my Tootsie shirt that says Unstoppable, and she's like, I have the same one. That was the first show I saw, had an outstanding dance chorus. They were great. They were really good. And I'm like, oh, that's what a Broadway dancer looks like. Like I've been around people who are dancers and they're in incredible shape. And then I see those people and I'm like, yep, that's what they are. Mm-hmm. The last show I saw was King Kong. Did you go see?
Oh, yes. And so many thoughts.
You want to talk about amazing looking dancers. We got to do a talk back with every show that we did. I wanted to talk, the dance captain was up there. I'm like, was there like a hotness scale here that you're like, okay, you're good enough, but you 3 have to go? I mean, these people were cut. They were gorgeous. And I was sitting like at the back of the orchestra and I could see like every muscle line and everything. And I'm like, now that's a Broadway body. That is absolutely a Broadway body. So taking that,
they do help themselves define it, I will say.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
To an extent, they help themselves define those lovely manly muscles. But yes, they are very fit.
Oh, man. And the women, too. The women were incredible, too. But yes, the men lifting men in that show were just outstanding. But for Jonathan Groff being Seymour, it's like, look, these are people will go see Jonathan Groff. He will sell tickets. 2, Broadway people of all sizes and all shapes and all colors and ethnicities are attractive people.
Yeah.
So the guy that replaced Groff was Gideon Glick, and he looked really...
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, he looked really great, and they frumped up his clothes and everything, and he had big glasses and a hat that like was way too big for his head. But then you get Gideon Glick out of that costume, and he's a babe. Absolutely angular and everything. And now you've got Jeremy Jordan coming in. And the promo shot they have of him is like, that's not really a nerd. That's a guy that I'm like, you went to Harvard and why are you working here?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing some opinions on your face there, Brittany.
Yeah. I also looked up Gideon Glick. Yeah. I also looked up Gideon Glick because he came from, and I only saw this picture. I didn't get a chance to read everything, but was he in To Kill the Mockingbird? Is that correct?
Oh, I
think
you're right. Yes.
I just saw his face and I was like, that's the dude from To Kill the Mockingbird. So he is definitely fabulous, but he's got the nerdy scrawniness going on. But yes, he's very symmetrical. He's a good looking kid, I would say, even though he's probably not a kid.
it's awkward to talk about, but there's a Woody Allen movie from the mid 2000s called Whatever Works, and it had Larry David in it. And, he kind of played the same Larry David character he plays on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, yeah.
But he falls in love with Evan Rachel Wood, who was like 20 years old at the time.
That movie.
Yeah. Do you remember this? Okay.
Yes, it's been a long time though, but yes, I do know that movie.
So you're going, oh, this is so cute. Like this guy who had no reason to live and is like a hypochondriac and a germaphobe finds this person who is completely lost in life and in love and everything. And my God, this is great. Halfway through the movie, she meets Henry Cavill. He's the Justice League Superman in the Snyderverse.
Oh, okay, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, this is so not fair. Because like I was looking at him like, he's impossibly handsome.
Especially compared. No, I'm like,
right.
Not that you want to compare, but I mean, compared,
right.
Yes.
Right. And in the movie, you're just like, oh man. And you're like, oh no. Their relationship is strong enough. And then come to find out, it's like, well, no, actually they weren't really good for each other. And these two young, very attractive people should be together. And I mean, the whole theme of the movie is the title, Whatever Works. When you find love, take it, whatever works. And I went, well, yeah, but that one seems like it was already kind of written in the stars, don't you think?
Yeah.
Evan Rachel Wood, Henry Cavill, and whiny old Larry David.
I mean, it's kind of right there in front of you. Yes, definitely.
Right. Like, are we fighting type here? What's going on? I mean, type has been a thing in theater for centuries. I mean, you have people who make careers out of being stock characters.
Definitely.
So I don't know. This one, like, and again, like Oren Scrivello, the dentist. Okay, let's go in a different direction here. He's what Audrey is looking for. And I mean, okay, Audrey's like one of 4 women in the entire play, but she's, obviously, I hate to use this term, but the prize. So she's really pretty and glamorous and everything, but, obviously doesn't have a very high opinion of herself. So then in that regard, is the dentist supposed to be hot? Or what is it that's hot about the dentist?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
I mean, is it just that image? He's a bad boy. He's got a motorcycle. He's dangerous and confident.
I mean, if we're going to go with like what everyone thinks that women go for, I mean, the bad boy. Ooh, the bad boy.
Right.
That's supposed to be attractive. Apparently.
Right. He's got leather and he's dangerous. And,
and the bad side, a little controlling, just what we love. No.
Right.
But because of these kind of shows and stories and movies and things like that's what you kind of grow up with. Like, oh, the bad boy's attractive. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It does get perpetuated. Yeah,
it does. Definitely.
Yeah. So there are a couple lyrics here that are problematic for me because, I've directed quite a bit. And one of my directing maxims is, look, we have this script, okay? The playwright wrote these words for us to interpret, but they are still here and we can't take them out or remove them. So in the song, Somewhere That's Green, Audrey has the lyric. She has the lyric that goes, still that Seymour's a cutie. Well, if not, he's got inner beauty. So are the lyrics telling us that Seymour is not hot?
He's not a cutie. He's not a cutie.
Oh, okay.
Let's define hot and cute, I guess.
I mean,
to me, having the nerdiness is cute. I think that's cute.
Yeah.
Because it's a little quirk. It's cute. Look at that little nerd over there. Sorry, no offense to nerds. But I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
I identify as a nerd and I am highly
I'm sorry. I'm going to get in so much trouble on this show.
But, I mean, that's another one. It's like, so it's not conventional attraction, but you think about the things that have led up to that. Like, he's always looking out for her. He shows her the plant and says, I named it after you. It's called an Audrey too. And she thinks it's one of the most charming things that has ever happened. Somebody thought of her in that way. But then she's still going to go out and get handcuffed to a bed by her disgusting boyfriend.
Well, you know. Sorry. I think like this story is also a very typical like Friends movie. You know what I mean? Like the friend is always like, she never sees the niceness of the friend. And like, oh, they're so nice, they're so sweet or whatever, but they don't see the connection there. Like, you know, because you always got to go for what's wrong first, apparently, as opposed to going with that type of guy.
Right.
So it takes her a while, as I feel like it takes every single kind of movie that has that story in it. Even though they're not like best friends. You know what I mean? Right. They're adjacent to each other. And those of us, and of course in the audience, we're sitting there going, duh, he's right in front of you, right? Dramatic irony. And then, you know, and then the boyfriend comes, you hear the motorcycle and she's like, I gotta go. And you're like, no. Dad. But come on, it's a motorcycle. I mean, hello. Oh, so hot and sexy.
Now that leads me into my next question then.
Yes.
What is it that makes her finally fall for him in Suddenly Seymour?
That's such a good song.
Yeah.
I love that. Suddenly Seymour.
Suddenly Seymour. Right. Now, a lot of the editorials are like, not suddenly Seymour, more like obviously Seymour, especially when it's played with Jeremy Jordan or Jonathan Groff or Gideon Glick or who's next? Nick Jonas? I mean... Okay, I turned a crank there.
Nick Jonas. I'm not a Jonas fan, but I will say I saw all three actors who were in How to Succeed on Broadway.
How
to Succeed in Business on Broadway. I saw all three of them. I was never a big Jonas fan, but I definitely appreciated him in that role. He did it very well. A lot better than other. Like I thought Darren Criss would have been like ginormous. And he was. I lived down the street from that theater, and every single night it was, I'll be your teenage dream, when he would come out at the stage door. And I would literally be like, oh my gosh, why is this? Like, why are we singing this when he comes out at the stage door, guys? Like, I just don't understand. Every single night they would sing that. Like, he did well, but I was more impressed with Nick Jonas and definitely way more impressed with Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, yeah.
Loved him in that show. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, but what was your question? I apologize.
So I guess the question is, in Suddenly Seymour, what is it that just flips the switch for her to go, yeah, Seymour's okay?
Seymour's okay? Like, what? He's okay. What are you talking about? It's so sad. I completely forgot that line. Oh, this poor guy. He just gets, and then he's like, yes, this is great. She finally sees me, which is always so sad in these types of movies where you're overlooked. And then like, oh, finally she sees me. It's like, dude, you were overlooked how many times? Like you were, okay, whatever. I don't know. I definitely think that the fact like Jeremy Jordan is not okay.
I
mean, he's not the most attractive person in the entire world, but he's definitely good looking. Like how do you overlook Jeremy Jordan? I'm sorry. I would definitely not overlook that man.
Even with glasses and maybe his shirt is untucked sometimes or something like that, just, oh gosh, it
would have to be a very baggy shirt too. Like, and now he's like, now he's a dad. So like, he's probably getting like a dad bod on top. Like, that's a thing. So
little extra snuggle. So I actually have a friend who is in production in Colorado of Little Shop. And I wrote to her last night and I'm like, okay, tell me why your Audrey falls for Seymour in that song. Cause I'm like, I know this actor. I know she puts a lot into her work. And let's see. For Audrey, Seymour represents a kind of stability and loyalty that she craves in what she assumes is a healthy partnership. Ironically, it's the pain-causing tendencies so deeply embedded in Oren that are present in Seymour as Audrey 2 gets more successful that lead him to the triumphant reveal that he's standing beside her.
That's good.
There's more here. There's more.
Yeah.
Let's see. She goes, so what's hot about Seymour? He's there for Audrey. No strings attached. He loves her despite her sordid past or the fact that she feels that she brings nothing to the table. Seymour makes her see herself as a beacon, and it makes her want to see herself that way as well.
Well written.
Right? She put some time into that.
Very well written. Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Is she playing Audrey?
She is playing Audrey. Audrey. And that was kind of an interesting thing to me. It's like, okay, so it doesn't require an attractive or an unattractive person. It's his personality. It's who he naturally is.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I mean, it kind of goes to like the best friend between a girl and a guy, the best friend of the guy. Like, they're always there. They're supportive. They stand by them. They support their decisions. You know, they're always there for them. And you always look at them friend, and then kind of clicks a little bit. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And I killed people for you. I killed people for you so we could have a life together.
I mean, that's also a thing.
And unfortunately, now that wheel is set in motion and disaster. So here's something funny. I want to get your reaction to this. In February 2020, when it was announced that Jeremy Jordan would be playing the role, Theater Mania, the website Theater Mania, said, since we're going hunky, here are 6 actors we'd like to see play Seymour.
Oh, I love it when they do that.
Okay.
Who'd they say?
So here's some. Chris Evans.
Oh.
Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculously good-looking man.
He's okay. He's okay. I'm joking.
Wall-to-wall
I forget everyone can't see my face. He is
Zachary Levi. Shazam. He was in the spy show where he worked in Best Buy or something like that. But yeah, now he's Shazam. And he's also now incredibly ripped because he had to fill out that costume.
He is. But he's also kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
He's kind of nerdy. He's the attractive nerdy, but yes.
Right.
Leaning more attractive as he gets older.
Right. That might work. Billy Magnuson.
Yes.
Okay. I should send you, find that article. Theater Mania, 6 actors.
The Theater Mania article?
Yes, because it's ridiculous. But, blonde hair, big blue eyes, tan skin. And then if you find that article, they find pictures of these guys where they're ridiculously stupid hot on stage. And here's Billy Magnuson. Billy Magnuson in a towel, like he's just come out of the shower. And he looks like he's on the cover of Men's Health.
Okay.
And you're like, that is Seymour?
I mean, it doesn't really go. Sure.
Yeah. Benjamin Walker, who was Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, the musical.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And if we're familiar with American Psycho, Patrick Bateman is a huge fitness enthusiast. Like, I think in the movie, there's a line, he's like, I do 1,000 crunches a day. And you're like, well.
You have to say it like that, too.
Yeah. Now, here's a couple that are interesting. Daveed Diggs.
Oh.
Now, I thought of this because you're like, okay, it's 1950s. This is somebody who everybody is overlooking. So I'm like, what about a person of color? Somebody who's like, well, I think he's cute. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be intentionally racist here. It's just that he's not white. So how can the hot heroine in a 50s musical go for the black guy first?
And I'm going to ask this. The timeline of the musical, like it being in the 1950s, that has to stick, right? Within the show.
Yeah. It has to because the music is all 50s poppy rock. Yeah.
Fine line here, fine line.
Yeah,
anyone can play anyone, and let's open up the doors for everyone, which is obviously a humongous thing now, rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then there's also things that you can't play because, and like so in the 1950s, you're right because that would obviously. Of course, in the 1950s, I feel like I'm like, I don't want to say anything.
Right.
But in the 1950s, like that's definitely something that would stand out. So you're right; it wouldn't be overlooked. But in the theater world, it should be overlooked. I overlook it a lot. Like I don't care. It doesn't really affect me as an audience member. And to be he's a good looking guy.
He is a good looking guy. Yeah,
but he can do nerdy. You know? I feel like he totally could do nerdy.
Yep.
So, but yeah, who was the 6th one? Was there a 6th one?
The 6th one, I'm not familiar with him, but apparently he did the revival of Carousel a few years ago. Joshua Henry, another African American No, you say no to that.
No, I'm going to say no. He's too good looking. He's a muscly man. Oh my God. Like Carousel is definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but he is so smooth. He is suave. There's no way that man could ever be considered nerdy. I'm sorry. No, that's just my personal opinion. Everyone else, I'm like, yeah, you could probably pull that off, but I mean, he probably could because he's a good actor and
right,
all that stuff. But
so yeah, those are their 6, and I just went, well, it seems like you're just getting a little, clickbait, but whatever.
Yeah, I think the lankiness goes with nerdy, and I definitely think that because it's such a cult following and it's such a popular musical because of the movie and because of who played that part.
Oh, Rick Moranis?
Thank you. Yeah. But Rick Moranis, yes. Like he's lanky, and so I think like his look kind of just goes straight, at least for me, goes straight in my mind. He's lanky, he's short, he's quirky, he's got the glasses. He's definitely a good looking guy. Yeah. But he doesn't sell nerdiness that, right? About him. I mean, yeah.
So that then goes into like another level of this before I move on to other topics. What about a kid who's heavier?
Oh, definitely. That's nerdy too.
There's a lot of kids who are just like they're just an awkward shape, And,
Book of Mormon, Josh Gad. He made that role. I don't know if it was, I'm assuming it's supposed to be a nerdy role, like a geeky role, but.
Oh my God, he writes the Bible with Lord of the Rings and Star Wars characters into it. That's
true. So yes, it's definitely written as a nerdy role. It's definitely, you're right. Touche, my friend, touche. But and now I've seen it with him, and then I've seen it with whoever followed him. I don't remember, but he was also a little heavier, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. But then also Ben Platt has played him as well, and he's obviously not like
Ben Platt was Cunningham?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I knew he was in it. I didn't know he was Cunningham. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting. If I'm correct, that's one of his first Ben Platt on Broadway. One of his very first big spiels. But I definitely could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah, Josh Gad made that role. He's nerdy. So definitely a heavier person could definitely be nerdy and cute, of course, and attractive. Right. And play it perfectly as well.
But, compared to like an absolute, glamour Jersey City babe, putting them together. I mean, and this is just from audience.
There's anything wrong.
No, I don't either. But like for general audience perspective, I don't know how they would react, honestly.
Well, it goes into the whole, what do you see as a character? Because a lot of times your weight is part of your character. Here's part of the character, and of course we're trying to steer away from that in the Broadway world, but it's so gosh darn hard. Right. It's the stereotype of like weight and color and all that fun stuff. Like it all kind of goes, unfortunately, but we're trying, I think.
Now there have been many debates about who should play who in Broadway shows, musicals or non-musicals, and whether or not someone has cemented the role in collective understanding. It's hard for anyone to imagine someone besides Yul Brynner playing the King of Siam. And of course, he did literally make a career out of playing it, doing over 4,000 performances. Other actors like Marlon Brando as Stanley in A Streetcar Named Desire, and this is a controversial one, but I'm going to say it, Idina Menzel as Elphaba in Wicked. She kind of cemented it, right?
Yes.
You hear Defying Gravity, I hear Idina.
Yep.
Okay. Now, certainly other actors have stepped into the roles over the years, but there always seems to be a comparison to another iconic performance. And I'm going to discuss a couple more people here, and it may or may not help us answer this Seymour question. Now, before 1984, it had long been known that Arthur Miller considered Lee J. Cobb to be the best Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. As you may recall, Willie Loman is the main character in Miller's Death of a Salesman. And for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the play, it's about a 60-year-old traveling salesman in the 1940s who may be slowly losing his mind. Basically, he's done what he thought he needed to do to succeed in life, meet what he considers the American dream. Unfortunately, he hasn't. He has 2 sons who don't really care about him too much anymore. He's not nearly achieved the wealth he aspired to. Frankly, all the work seemed to be for nothing. So The casting of Lee J. Cobb was particularly inspiring in this setting. Many see the play as a metaphor for post-World War II American aspirations and seeing that the American dream might not have been meant for everyone. Cobb was a great representation. He's a much larger man with broad shoulders and a strong jaw, so it was particularly impressive to see such a large and impressive man gradually become worn down and smaller by the end of the play. And in fact, Miller was quite taken aback by that production because the team of director Elia Kazan and designer Joe Malziner pretty much created a new way for Miller to see his own work. For example, the beginning of the play, Miller writes in the stage directions for a single spotlight to be lighting the scene, as though the audience is just getting a glimpse of a scene inside what could be any American house. He did not really see the framework of a home around the characters. It wasn't until this was so cool, and I don't know how long it lasted on the stage, but it might have been there the entire time. They had a scrim in front of the stage that had not really an abstract painting, but it wasn't like a realistic painting of the house around them.
Yeah.
And the set was right behind it. So there was just a little bit of a light on the scrim so you could still see the house, but then it was well lit behind the scrim so you could see the actors moving around inside the house.
Like a ghost house almost. Yeah. Seeing through the walls.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Miller had no idea that was happening. And so he's like, oh my God, this is bringing so much more life to my play. You know, it's the process of the playwright giving his play to a production company and saying, here, interpret this. This is the understanding we have. I've given you this. Now show it to me. You know what I mean?
Like a stage can do so much. It's sometimes I'm just like blown away by some shows. I'm just like, wow, that was absolutely amazing. And like, no one moves. No one does anything. It's strictly just stage production.
Yep.
And it's mind-blowing.
Yep.
Love it. They work hard.
Now, when the play was revived in 1984, the iconic Willie was played by Dustin Hoffman, who on his best day never stood above 5'5.5".
Yeah, he's a wee little guy, isn't he?
Miller quickly changed his tune as he saw the intensity and change that could be exhibited by the smaller actor in the role. He saw a man equally needing validation in an unsympathetic world, maybe even more so, as this version of Willie Loman could often be overlooked simply due to his size. So, some talking points here. Is it possible for a play to be immune to interpretation? So, like, this is the final version of this. There can't ever be anything other than this. That's so difficult, right? Like,
yeah,
I would say some of the newer Broadway musicals, the big budget Broadway musicals, like as soon as I saw Shrek the Musical on Netflix, and I said this a couple episodes ago, like, oh, cool, we're going to get 8,000 terrible productions of this in high school and community theaters here coming up because, they don't have the budget. They don't have the budget to do that. And now you have Frozen, and that's a musical, and you can buy the rights and put it on.
Yeah.
How are you going to give any justice to any of that stuff?
Wow. I think musicals are hard to change. I do think that. I think the characters within the musical is easier. Going back to Idina Menzel and Wicked, like some people are like, oh, it's played by a white girl, like, white woman, sorry. You know, certain people can't play it. Well, why? They're literally green, like, you know.
Yeah, they paint them green. Matter. So
like that doesn't change the character, you know. It's kind of, as far as weight, sometimes people think that changes a character.
Right, right.
And or like height and scrawniness and all those other things, like, and looks can change a character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
within a play, I mean, Death of the Salesman, I think that like the big guy opposed to like Dustin Hoffman, you know, like it definitely does play.
Yeah.
I think it could come across different.
Yeah. So here, check this out. This is an interesting quote I found on this from Joe Papp, big in public theater in New York. It's more important for an actor to play Willie Loman when Salesman first came out than Hamlet. A new major role is always more important than any classic role. It's more challenging. There's no precedent. And so the actor can create it from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the majority of actors will hesitate to play an established classic role unless they feel they can do it differently. They don't want to imitate someone else, and they know they'll be compared by critics and the audience. End quote.
That's good. I agree, but I also disagree.
Right? Right?
Yeah. I see why an actor wouldn't want to play a certain role. However, I mean, what's an old musical like Wicked? I don't know. I still think that there's tons of Elphabas that like, but if you're going to revive Oklahoma.
Yep. That's what I was just going to say. I mean, here you have an actor who is in a wheelchair who destroyed that part. She just killed it and hit it way over the fence. And now you've got people scratching their head. It's like, well, how can we use her? And you can. You can. They did on a fabulous set. Like, and it wasn't her character. Like, no. I loved Oklahoma. I feel like a lot of people either loved it or you hated it. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I was a little like, is that going to be like a big thing? Like, I'm not a big fan of when people like put the spotlight on something, you know, like especially something new and something different. Like, right. They definitely did a lot of different things with that musical that is completely different from the original. Did you see it? No. I just saw like the Tony performances and stuff, but I was blown away. I'm like, yep, that works. That works so well. And all it required was just somebody to have an idea of, hey, what if we did this in this way?
Let's put in a ramp instead of stairs. Like, wow, mind blowing. The Tonys couldn't even do that for her, but you know, the theater could.
Well, I mean, we're in Radio City.
That was a little. Oh no, heaven forbid! That was so insulting. Like, I could not believe. I was like, really? You're gonna make her way backstage? Like, what? Okay, fine. But she was amazing. Like, it wasn't her. They didn't make it her character. They didn't change anything about the script for her. It was her. She just happened to be sitting down in a wheelchair, like whoopie-doo, you know, and she rocked it. No, like, you don't look at it like, oh, that character is in a wheelchair. No, you just look at this girl rocking out, like singing this amazing song.
And Tony winning performance. So there you are.
Yes.
Yep. It is said that at any given moment, a production of Death of the Salesman is in performance somewhere in the world. It's that popular. It's gone to that many countries. So does this lessen either of those performances?
The fact that it's always going?
Yeah.
Does it lessen the original and does it lessen Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah. Cobb or Hoffman? Does it? I mean, they were two standouts. Like, one was the first, and then the other one was this incredibly highly publicized revival with an incredibly popular actor in the role.
I mean, personally, I don't think so, because I obviously didn't see either of them. So, I mean, unless you're a ginormous fan of the play, I mean, there's not tons of people who are like obsessed with Death of the Salesman. Like, it's not like talked about a ton. So for me personally, I don't think it matters. Like, I think that just like the original and Dustin Hoffman, like, you could throw anyone in that as long as they could play it well. I think it would go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I saw a production of Streetcar Named Desire in Seattle. The woman who played Blanche in that one was better than any I'd ever seen. And that included Vivian Leigh opposite Marlon Brando in the movie.
Wow.
And that's a topic for an upcoming one. Vivian Leigh playing Blanche. Holy cow. You want to talk about a woman who played herself on stage.
Seriously.
It was that. Oh. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting when people try to compare apples and bananas. I think there's just a point where we have to go, look, it's preference. And there isn't just an iconic thing. However, okay, I'm going to go into something else right here with that. But Brian Dennehy was my Willie Loman. I saw him live in 2000 in LA.
Yes. Oh, was he good?
Oh my God, he was amazing. And he was a huge man. He just died this last year, but he was enormous. Like I think he was like 6'5", and the woman that played his wife was like 5'5". So, you know, he'd hug her close to her, and it's like he's giving her a noogie. And I was like, oh my God, this is a great representation. And man, just a guy who slaps you on the back every time he sees you. God, you're gonna go out and do something. You're like, that's an American guy. And that was my Willie Loman. Anyway. But speaking of getting closer to today, I could have gone with the current fervor over Ariel in the live action Little Mermaid that's coming out. And people are like, well, that can't be a girl of color. Like, but it can, and it will be, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
So shut up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But bringing things a little bit more close to today, May 18th, 2021, a YouTube video went viral. It was the trailer for the upcoming film adaptation of the immensely popular musical Dear Evan Hansen. You know where I'm going.
Oh, no, you went there. Oh, no.
And it would be starring Ben Platt, who played the titular lead in the original production on Broadway. And it's his voice on the original cast soundtrack album, soaring through songs by up-and-coming musical writing team Pasek and Paul. And while this thrilled a lot of fans, there was almost just as much criticism to counteract it.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, at this point, Ben Platt is 30, and the character is 16. A lot of the online criticism is aimed at his age. But even more so, people started to pay attention to the plot of the musical and wondered if we should be celebrating this character so much. Here's a bit of the synopsis for those of you that don't know. And then I cannot wait to hear your opinions on this, Brittany.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. I know nothing about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Read the synopsis.
At the beginning of the play, we meet Evan, who is sporting a brand new cast as he has recently broken his forearm. Through the first few scenes, we find out that Evan is an extraordinary introvert with almost crippling social anxiety and has incredibly low self-worth. But Evan has romantic interest in his classmate, Zoe. And Evan gets involved in a fake friendship with Zoe's brother, Connor, to try to get closer to Zoe. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but yes.
Yeah.
This becomes increasingly awkward when Connor commits suicide and Zoe and her family try to figure out why. Evan uses this opportunity to get even closer to the family by making up an elaborate friendship with Connor that never existed. He even tells the family that it was Connor who found him at the bottom of the tree with a freshly broken arm and got him to safety. His whole scenario spirals way out of control. I'm not even going to give you any more spoilers on this. And eventually, Evan has to face up to the fact that he exploited the death of someone he hardly knew to pull him out of the depths of the dire state of his mental health. Whew. Yeah, I covered it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll say, can I add something to that?
Yes.
Because I personally think that it's a big part of the story. The reason why he gets into the family, like the main reason is they find the letter because the therapist, and this is no spoilers at all, the letter he's supposed to write to himself, Dear Evan Hansen, today's going to be a good day. Here's why. So he writes this letter to himself, and Connor finds the letter and takes it to be a quote unquote bully or whatever to Evan Hansen. And so the parents find it thinking that he wrote it to Evan. And so they're like, oh, you were friends with him? We had no idea. And he doesn't know what to say.
And it just sparks right there. He's like,
it just spirals. Yeah.
I could be something here. Okay. So discussion topics. Should Ben Platt play Evan Hansen in the movie?
I will say this. I do not think that they did a good job with his hair. I don't think that helped. A lot of people think it's a wig. And apparently he grew it out, which I believe, sure, fine. But it does not make him look good. I did do a video about it because everyone was so obsessed with his age. And it's like, well, okay, when he filmed it, I want to say he was 27.
Yep.
And then the other people were 26. Someone else was 26. Someone else just turned 27 when they were filming it. Another person was 23. Okay. So they're all, and that also goes into Hollywood and like what ages are people playing roles? Like, of course, a 16-year-old, when does that ever happen? Except for the 16-year-old kid who actually did play Evan Hansen. He was that, because everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's actually a kid playing a kid. What? So it was mind-blowing. So unfortunately, COVID did happen. So that did push back the whole, the filming of it. He's a hairy dude. I will say that. Ben Platt is not, and so that doesn't help him look younger. He was so scrawny. And I will say, a lot of people did complain when the show came out that he was too old to play this role.
So he
was in his early 20s.
In 2015. It was 2015, so he would have been 24. But still, 24.
Okay. Yeah.
But 6 year
already
difference. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. But I loved his response to it. He was like, and I guess the tweet is deleted, but it said, thanks to everybody who appreciated it. And for the haters, I will reference Grease. Tell me that John Travolta at like 31 was playing Danny Zuko at 18. You
could say that show, I don't know. I don't think the show would be what it is if it wasn't without Ben Platt. Would the movie be well respected and would people want to see it if it didn't have Ben Platt? I don't know, especially since it shot him to fame and now he's such a big name.
And there are a couple other things with that I think are legitimate criticisms. First of all, his father's a producer in the movie,
which is a huge deal.
And you're like,
Lord, people can't get over it.
Okay. You know, it's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's not the only person that I'm not going to say that it's convenient as a father who's a film producer, but it seems to maybe have worked out in this case. But another criticism that I do really actually appreciate this is they say, but there are a lot of musical actors out there. And you know what just happened? This pandemic that put a lot of them out of work. Yeah. Can't we just give another person a shot to explode into fame like he did? But I mean, it's
which I totally agree. Yeah.
But it's his voice. His voice, like I have a hard time hearing anybody but him in that role.
A lot of people have a problem with the storyline anyways. And a lot of people see Evan Hansen as a certain type of person, but it's not really announced what type of person he is. So it's just all up for speculation. And he plays it a certain way. I saw him several times do it. And every single time it's like, oh my God, like, it's just heartbreaking. You know, like it's not, he's not trying to be manipulative. To me, it's just more of like, oh crap, what do I do? Oh my God. Like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. Yeah, I guess this is happening. Like, you know, it's just kind of like, and then I've seen it not with him. And it's not like they were being more manipulative or anything, but it was definitely, it's played differently, I think.
Right.
You know, like,
Okay.
The whole the whole storyline is very emotional. You know, it deals with suicide. So that's not an easy thing for a lot of people to deal with. Right. That's definitely trigger warning, you know, on the show. And I think how you play Evan, the story can go a different way in your head. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, especially if you had already seen it. A few episodes ago, I talked with Richard Jordan, who's producer, and he says, you know, the theater has that really amazing power that, you know, in the smallest of productions, in the smallest of places, you have the opportunity to leave an indelible impression on somebody for the rest of their lives. And I have seen several Hamlets. I was blown away by Benedict Cumberbatch's. It was extraordinary. And now Ian McKellen is playing him live.
Yeah.
He's 81. He's 81 playing Hamlet, and apparently bringing these great ideas about what Hamlet can be and what interpretation can be and all this stuff. And it's like you have that opportunity right now to shape somebody's imagination of it. And I just, in that specific regard, it's such an extreme circumstance that I think of like the newcomer who's never seen Hamlet. Like I read it and I went to see this 81-year-old guy. And then the next time you see it, it could be somebody amazing. It could be Robert Downey Jr.'s Hamlet finally. And you go, he's fine, but he's no Ian McKellen.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would make this. It makes the story a little tiny different in your head. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I saw Game of Thrones. Peter from Game of Thrones, very popular. What is his name? Oh my gosh. I want to say Peter Gallagher, and I know that is not right.
Oh, Peter Dinklage. God, Peter
Dinklage. Thank you.
One of my favorite actors. I'm like, Peter.
Yes. He was recently in an off-Broadway musical about, you know the classical play with the dude with the nose.
Oh, Cyrano.
And writes the letters.
Yes. Cyrano.
Oh my gosh. That was such a great, like, he's not the best singer, Peter Dinklage, but it was so good. Like, and instead of having the nose, you know, they used his height. It was
his height.
Right. Yeah. It was so well done. I mean, it didn't change the play, but it was definitely like you see the Martin with the nose. That's what I see, you know?
Right.
And they just used his height, and it was so well done. Such a good random musical.
And I guess James McAvoy did it at the National sometime, and it was amazing. And it had nothing to do with looks, I guess. I mean, it was just, you know, he was something other than what is expected. I don't know. It's interesting. So I guess, you know, I think I know the answer. I just wanted to bring the question up a while ago, you know, is a play immune to interpretation? I would say no. But when you get to the point where like, no, we have to have this thing. Like, can you imagine Miss Saigon without the helicopter? It's like, no, you have to have certain things. Yeah. So, I don't know if we answered the Ben Platt question or not, but it's an interesting one to bring up because everybody's going like, why are we making this guy a champion? Why is everybody looking up to him? And I'm like, they're not.
I mean, I like tons of people are still going to see it. I mean, he is he has a big fan following. That's strictly because of the musical, and then because what he became after that.
Yeah.
You know, yes, he was in other movies beforehand, but I don't know. I'm going to have to see it before I'm like, I think the trailer did not light him well. Like he just doesn't look very good in it. But I don't know how the transition from stage to movie is going to be for some certain scenes.
Right. Right.
Because he nailed, I'm just like, he did nail it on stage. He absolutely nailed it. But do I think that the one little kid, he's not a little kid.
The one actual child.
The child that played the child. Did I think? But this was this big thing. And then he was also recently in Ratatouille, which was great. Surprisingly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's a cute, he would be a good Seymour. To bring things back around. He would be a good Seymour. Where I should be in casting. Anyway.
There you go. So here's a fun one. Here's another fun one. You know, we did our 6 hunky actors who could play Seymour. Mm-hmm. So we have understood for a long time that there is always going to be an element of Hollywood in Broadway. It sells. It sells. Mm-hmm. Tom Hanks and Lucky Guy, that was several years ago. Mm-hmm. Got nominated for a Tony, didn't get it. We mentioned it a couple episodes ago. Julia Roberts in 3 Days of Rain. I know Uma Thurman did something just a few years ago. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember what she did. Yeah.
The one that always, like, I want to see it. I want to have seen it. Mm-hmm. Scarlett Johansson in Arthur Miller's View from the Bridge. It's about a longshoreman who lives in New York, like right off of Rockaway Beach. So he lives right down there, works on the docks down there. And I can't completely remember the relationship, but Scarlett Johansson plays like his ward. Somehow her parents are dead or, you know, they're somewhere else. And so he's responsible for her. Now, he is of Italian heritage, and he has 2 cousins from Italy who are coming to America to seek a better life. So they're first generation. And one of them starts to kind of fall for the girl a little bit. And she's supposed to be like kind of cute and, you know, but she's still underage. I want to say she's 18. So, and, you know, I have no idea in New York in the 50s if age of consent was even a thing. But, but
I don't know there either.
that was an example. I thought that I'm like, did they just give her a Tony because she's cute Scarlett Johansson, or did she really earn that? Like, did she actually earn that? I have no idea. But I went, you're taking Black Widow and putting her probably in some cute little tight-fitting dresses. And
yeah, I don't know. I think Hollywood. It's funny how many people don't know that a name in Hollywood, like Nick Jonas. A lot of people did not know that Nick Jonas had a name, or even, dare I say, what's her face from Glee? Leah, or not Leah.
Leah Michele.
Yeah, Leah Michele. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of people didn't know that she was originally a Broadway person before she became a Hollywood person. So it's not like super crazy for a Hollywood person to come to Broadway because they originally were on Broadway, you know, or in theater before they went to Hollywood. And so a lot of people just see the fact that, a Hollywood name, of course, they're on Broadway, they're going to bring in tickets. But really, no, that's where they got their start.
Yep.
But, I mean, do they need to be on Broadway? I don't know.
Those are such murky waters. Like, And I looked this up. It was 2010 that Scarlett Johansson was in this, and played opposite Liev Schreiber. So, like a real powerhouse actor on stage and screen, and I'm sure he gave an amazing performance. But this is 2010, so her star was really steadily rising. She was not, you know, who she is today. Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up here a little bit. We've been on this for a little while now, so I don't know. What does it hurt to have a hunky actor be Seymour?
I just think it hurts. I don't think it hurts anybody. Does it take away a role from someone who's less hot? Probably, yeah. But that's happened every single time. Does the dentist, does he have to be 6'2" and hunky and extremely good looking? No, he probably really doesn't. As long as someone plays him with confidence, I would think. You know, like if you have confidence, a big burly guy who's maybe a little hefty, he could probably pull it off very well as well. You know, like, I don't know. I think it all goes to opinion. And I don't think Jeremy Jordan's going to do a horrible job by any means. He'll probably do a great job. He's going to do a great job. Is there a nerdy actor who could probably rock it and bring the nerdiness and bring the geekiness? Heck, yes. And it sucks because he's not going to be cast in the last 5 years. You know,
in the last 5 years,
obviously, You know, he's not going to get cast in that because he's way too scrawny. He's way too skinny. He's way too nerdy. He's way too hefty. He's way too whatever. You know, like so.
Yeah, but with that one, but with that example, the last 5 years, you know, he played opposite Anna Kendrick, who, she's a little cutie, right? But she also has been able to sell a personality. Like it's not all about her looks. She's got a thing, a personality trait that everybody really kind of enjoys about her.
Happy and energetic and cute.
Yeah, but also there's a vulnerability and a fragility to that person. And I like that. I like that. So seeing her paired with Jeremy Jordan and nothing against Jeremy Jordan. Like I really haven't seen anything besides the last 5 years that he has done. I mean, my kids watched the Supergirl show for a little bit and he was on that. And I went,
did you see Smash?
No, I never did see all of Smash.
Oh, okay.
I watched like the first few episodes of the first season. I went, that'll be good. And then I never watched it again. But like even in that, he's supposed to be kind of the Lois Lane character to this, to Supergirl, who's a babe. She's a babe. And then, you know, here he is and everybody's talking about how he's so mild mannered. And I'm like, but he's totally hunky. Like how are you all just pretending to overlook him? That's bad acting. I'm sorry. So I guess, ladies and germs, Jeremy Jordan is set to retake the stage as Seymour, which he never did. He never officially did, but he's set to play Seymour again when the play opens off Broadway on September 21st, 2021. And that
I'll have to go see him, and I will have to let you know how he is.
Yeah. I'd be fascinated because I'm sure he'll do fine. I'm sure he'll do fine. And it sells tickets to get that. And you got Christian Borle in it already. And plus, theater's been shut down for, you know, a better part of a year and a half. So the doors are going to be blasted down. I mean, people are just going to go like crazy. I'm very interested to see what happens here. Like, are we going to get a competitive nature again in ticket sales? Are we going to be able to do stuff like that? You know, I mean, it might take a while though. It might take a little while for things to just kind of calm down and go, okay, we've all seen everything. What did we like?
That's good. Yes. Yeah. What did we like? Yeah. Well, it's so sad because, and I know we're wrapping up, but it's so sad because so many shows had just started previews. And so they're really, I mean, and they're not opening when all the other shows are opening. They're not opening till like late November, December for the most part. Some not even till February still. But those shows I'm super excited about, like Mrs. Doubtfire and those kind of like, because they didn't even have a go. They didn't even have a go yet. So I'm going to see all the other ones again. But, you know, I've seen them already. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm so excited for the new stuff because that's what I want to form my own opinion on.
Right.
You know.
Right. And
totally
those are going to be those actors who are starting those roles for the very first time they've been on Broadway. And then in another 10 years when they're revived, people are like, yeah, but you weren't any post-COVID, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, there we go, Brittany. That was a fun conversation. Oh my God.
Thank you. It's been so long since I've talked about it. I appreciate it so much. I could go on. So.
I just love these hot button topics that I go, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this? Can Seymour be hot? Yes. Move on. Okay. Why is Ben Platt playing that? Because shut up.
Yeah. But yes, we could still talk about that for another hour. Like, it's so funny.
Right.
Oh.
And yeah, there is no resolution on any of this stuff. It's really, I told Richard, my producer friend, that we were going to do this one. And he said, you got to be kind of careful when you start talking about casting for attractiveness, because you're really taking out how it blends into the actual full production. If you solely focus on just that one thing, I mean, that goes back to the line, like, still that Seymour's a cutie. Well, if not, he's got inner beauty. She's realizing that there is something really attractive about that, even if he's not somebody you would put on GQ.
Yeah.
I
think why it's such a hot topic is because everybody wants a chance in this business.
Yes.
And the thing is that, like, you're taking Hollywood, you're taking the hunks, you're taking the typically attractive people, and you're putting them in parts that don't have to be typically attractive. They don't have to be Hollywood.
Right.
They don't have to be played by the hot person. Like, you're taking those parts, whereas like this other person who is just as amazing could be in that. And so I think that, especially where the world is right now, so many people are like, does it have to be played by this type of person? No. And I think, that's why, I don't know, that's why it's such a hot topic, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I hope we confused a whole bunch more people on who should be cast as what. I think we probably did. I know I'm more confused. But I'll go ahead and sign off here. Thanks for doing this with me again, Brittany. And for those of you listening, this has been Aaron Odom with another episode of Euripides Eumenides, and I will see you at intermission.